Good afternoon. Welcome back. We're here with another live stream interview here at Hidden Gems Sports Scouting. Um, Hope everybody's having a great day today. We are about, what is this today? Today is Hump Day, Wednesday, so middle of the week. And I've got a special interview here today. One of our newest clients, Nate Stewart. Nate's a wide receiver. He just came back home from Germany. He spent his season in the ELF or the GFL one, not the ELF. I said that incorrectly. The GFL one, the German Football League one, with the Allgaeu Comets. Um, he played his college ball at the University of Akron and Montana State. So we've got Nate here today. Nate, I appreciate you taking time out to do this interview. I know you and I have been talking offline, and I apologize for holding you up today. I know the time difference and then some things I had going on this morning kind of delayed us a little bit. So, um, again, appreciate you taking time out to do this interview. How's your day been so far?
I appreciate it. Now, thank you. Today's day's going pretty good. I'm right now just getting ready for a workout after this, but day's going pretty good.
So, how's things been since you've been home from Germany? I know you haven't been back in the states very long. Obviously, what about a week or so, a little more than a week.
Yeah, yeah.
So, how's that been
Go.
since you gotten back?
Pretty good. So I went right home to see my family, my mom, my brother. He's in college. I went to his game. He played the University of Army. He's at UMass right now. I went to watch him play. And then, I was just with my family at home, my mom, my dad, my sister, and then my other sister, she's playing basketball in JUCO right now. So, yeah, I just went home and seen my family and just trying to be around them.
Wow, so you got a whole family full of athletes in.
Oh, yeah, nah, we're competitive in that house. Competitive for sure.
Who's I'm gonna put you on the spot. Hopefully, I don't get you in trouble with the siblings. But who's the most athletic or the most talented of the three athletes?
Me, because, and
Wow. Okay. All right. Okay.
I say that because my sister, she played basketball and she run track. So she's quick. I would say that she's a guard, so she's quick. But I'm the oldest one, and then also just I think I can play more sports than everybody in that house. So
Okay.
like I played football, basketball. I did track as well. I'm trying to pick up soccer, like get good at soccer. I want to do
Oh,
tennis
another
as
Ocho
well.
Cinco.
Yeah, I like soccer. I've been watching soccer forever. So like, and then when I went to Germany, like a lot of my teammates was good at it. So there was a day where we had like PKs, offense versus defense. And then some days I'll just sit there and practice taking free kicks as well. So I'm actually gonna try to get good at that. And then golf. I want to learn how to play golf as well.
Okay. Okay. Ocho Cinco started out playing soccer, as he tells in his documentary, and
Yeah,
he credits that. Credits his footwork in football a lot to his soccer days. Obviously,
yeah,
um, he professes. Uh, obviously, pretty much the claim to fame is he's got some of the fastest feet in pro football. So he credits that to his soccer days, having to switch and change direction and all that kind of stuff on a dime. So soccer is a really unique sport in its own.
for
I
sure.
only had one um, only had 1 year of playing soccer. When I first started in sports at age 5, I was a goalie, and I got
Okay.
tendonitis in my knees. And you would think I was really smart, but um, I turned around with the baseball and became a hind catcher. So
Hmm.
knee problems, and then
Yeah,
crouching
yeah,
down.
yeah.
You think I would have been smarter, but
Yeah, it don't help.
no, I became a catcher. So I was just like, yeah. So let me ask you, who wins the 1-on-1? You or the sister? Who in basketball? Who
In
gets it?
basketball, me. And so my brother, he played basketball in high school. So nah, no, can't nobody play basketball with me. No, I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. Like she's nice, but like uh nah, I really hoop. Like I don't just play basketball. I'm a hooper. So.
So I just got a message from Elias. We were talking offline to see if maybe he might join us. He's not able to
Okay.
join us at the moment. So um, he said that, and I just want you to know while we're on this interview, I want to make sure that everybody hears this. He said, "What's up? Not able to join. Nate is a great player, and man, I only have positive things to say about him. If every import player would be like him, life would be easy." So there you go. It comes straight
Nah,
from Elias.
yeah, nah,
Um,
that's I got a lot of love for Coach over there.
um, so yeah, that's exactly what your previous team had to say. So
No, yeah, no, I appreciate Coach. He did a lot. He did a lot, just making it easy. That was my first time going to Europe, so um, that transition, I didn't know what to expect, and so him and the rest of my teammates over there, like I got a lot of appreciation. There's some guys that I still talk to now. Like I just texted some of my teammates this morning, sending memes back and forth on Instagram, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So nah, there's definitely some guys that I still like. I probably keep up with for the rest of my life though, because like I definitely enjoy my time.
not to I want to get to that, but I want to go back to the basketball question. So
Hmm.
is that gonna? I hope I don't ruffle feathers at Thanksgiving and Christmas this year. Because if she sees this interview, I'm
I
sure there's
mean,
going to be some things that have to be said.
I mean, it can ruffle feathers. It don't have to, because like we'll settle it on the basketball court, and, and there's no talking at that point. We're
we
just
we
playing.
just go outside and take care of business
Yeah,
outside.
exactly. We all got memberships to the YMCA and the rec, so
Oh,
yeah, we
so
could get in and do what we need to do.
so you said you've got a brother that plays at UMass, is that right?
Yeah, yeah, he plays linebacker at UMass right now.
Okay, is this his first year there, or
No, I want to say this is year two, so he went to JUCO route too. Well, he went to prep, then JUCO, and then
okay?
now this is his. I want to say second year here. Yeah, it's his second year with them.
So was the head coach Walt Bell at that time when he
No,
got recruited?
well, like in the initial his recruiting process, yeah, but Coach Brown from Don Brown from Michigan is now the head coach there,
Yeah,
and that was kind of the guy. So during around the COVID time, uh, I remember we had taken a visit up to Michigan with him. We met him and stuff like that, and then because of COVID, a lot of stuff fell through, and then
yeah,
I guess Coach Brown gave him another opportunity at UMass when he got the job at UMass.
yeah. Walt Bell was the previous head coach.
Yeah, yeah, I
He's
played
a
against him.
he's a former receiver from Middle Tennessee State.
Oh
I
yeah,
was a student assistant way back in the day, 2003 to 2006. Walt was a senior my first year on campus, first time volunteering with the
okay,
football program. I was 22, 23, fresh off my first tour of active duty, married, had a daughter. Um, I volunteered with the football program as a student assistant, obviously up under a GA level. Worked in the equipment room, and then I was assigned to position coaches on the field to help set up and run drills and set up the practice field and all that. My first year, I was with Art Kaufman, the linebacker coach, and then my second year, I was with the D line coach Les Herron. Coach Herron had come over from the Citadel, was getting ready to retire, and Coach McCullum, the head coach at the time, Coach McCullum had gotten fired, and Coach Rick Stockstill came in, the current head coach, and he and Coach Herron were good friends, and he convinced him not to retire right away, to spend a year at Middle helping turn the program around. And anyway, Walt was finishing up his career as a receiver when I first stepped in with the football program in '03. And he's from a small country town not far from where I live, about 45 minutes away. And so um, I always tell the story about Walt, kind of a unique story. Obviously, I was chasing coaching dreams, had been in the military, didn't play college ball, played high school ball, had a few chances at recruitment, not what I wanted. Just real quick summary of that. And anyway, I continue chasing these dreams and goals, and I get to Middle Tennessee after a tour of active duty. I'm married, husband, all that. And I become a student assistant, and I do that for almost 2 years. And I go through a divorce, go back to active duty. And when I knew this was coming on, I went to Coach Stock and um, Chris Matuzik, the head equipment manager at the time, and I just told him the situation and thanked them for the opportunity and everything. And they told me, they said, whenever you're done with the military and you chase coaching dreams again, let us know. We'll be happy to write you a letter of recommendation. So they did. They wrote me a letter of recommendation, and it got me some middle school and high school looks coaching wise. Well, Walt finishes his career, and Walt didn't get drafted, and he was an above average player from a small town as well. And he says, "Hey, I want to become a coach." And so Coach McCullum and Coach Stockstill get together, and they get him a GA ship down at Ole Miss. So he's a GA for 2 years. And you obviously know, when you become a GA, the path is that you put in 2 years of work for free. They pay for you to get a graduate degree. And when you do your 2 years, you pay your dues, you earn the right to become a fully paid assistant coach. And so he does his 2 years. He goes to Arkansas State for his first job. He's the QB coach at Arkansas State. Walt goes on to be the QB coach in OC. Then he goes to UNC Chapel Hill. Then he goes to Maryland. He was there during that the strength coach ordeal, the hazing incident.
Yeah.
And then he was down in Florida State with Willie Taggart. And then he goes to UMass and becomes the head coach. And this Walt's not even, I don't even think he was like 28 when he took that job. And he's a multimillionaire now coaching college football.
Right.
And I get a piece of paper that gets me some middle school and high school looks. He gets a GA ship and a phone call. And 2 years, he's making six figures, and 3 or 4 years later, he's a head coach making $1 million or more. So, like, the disparity in the two personal situations couldn't be more different. So,
yeah.
I'm not jealous or envious or anything. I just always think that's a unique story that, I'm an adult, married, and got a child, and I do this for free for 2 years and go to school and get my undergrad degree, and I get a piece of paper, and he gets, plays 4 years of ball and gets a GA ship, and 2 years later, he's doing what I want to do, making six figures, and then 4 years later, 5 years later, he's a millionaire head coach. So yeah. I'm happy for Walt. He was at Indiana earlier this season. Obviously, that didn't work out quite the way he had hoped. He ended up getting fired, but I'm happy for Walt and the fact that he's found success as a coach, and just the fact that I had a chance to know him and interact with him and know that he's from my area of Middle Tennessee.
100%.
I was curious if your brother was there when Walt happened to be at UMass, but
it was just a little bit after that. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Germany. You and I talked offline, but let's talk a little bit about Germany. So your first pro stop, obviously, and then we'll kind of rewind and start from the beginning. But you recently came back from Germany. You ended up first in the league in touchdown receptions with 25. You had a chance to go deep into the playoffs of the German Football League. Talk about your overall experience from the culture to the game of American football overseas, the coaching philosophies, the attitude of players over there. Just kind of take us through the overall thought process of your experience there.
Yeah. So when I landed, I want to say about in April, like I didn't really have an idea of kind of like you were saying, like the culture, like what my teammates would be like, what my coaches would be like, who they would be. But when I got there, I was kind of surprised because one, I would say that we did have a lot of talented guys on the team. So I had a couple of receivers, and like there were some like naturally gifted type of route runners. One comes to my head right away. His name was Marcel. Like I don't even know he never even realized how good he was really. Like, and it was just crazy to see. Like, he was just a natural like receiver, like body lean, two step out of breaks. Like, it was just weird to see because it was just like so nonchalant for him. It was like effortless a little bit, but just being there and just seeing kind of like the guys do care, like people did care about football, and that was kind of surprising to me too because soccer is like Europe's like main sport. So when I
Hmm.
got there and seeing like fans coming out to these games, being really supportive about it, and then going to especially up north as well, I seen a lot of the games up north and seeing like some of the bigger cities had to offer in terms of like just the football scene. Um, it was cool to see. Like I was in a smaller city a little bit, but like even around there, like there was some numbers that showed up to the games and they were passionate, like they knew, everything. So I would say like the with the NFL doing that crossover kind of thing, being in Germany, and they've had a year where they were in Mexico, stuff like that. So football, you could tell it's getting more popular around the world, and it was cool to be able to be a part of it in one of those countries.
What was it like for you knowing that you're an ambassador of the game in a foreign country and you're representing your the two colleges you played at, your family, your high school? What was that like knowing that you kind of had that level of responsibility or that kind of weight on your shoulders as one of the many import players that get a chance to go over there and do that?
I mean, to be honest, I never really thought of it that way. I was just more so kind of, I'm there. I'm trying to get better every day. You know what I'm saying? Like I was just, um, like not worried about myself. I would say just trying to, I guess, lead by example a little bit instead of
Sure.
telling them like, all right, this is like what American football is like. This is what it's supposed to, how it's supposed to be done. This is what I did in college and stuff like that. I was just trying to, show up to practice and kind of be like just hardworking. You know what I'm saying? Just be like, yeah, I may have a little bit of talent, and obviously I've been playing this game for so much longer than some of my teammates or some of the opponents that I went up against. But it wasn't just me trying to like I guess outshine or something like that. It was just be I'm just trying to work just to see. I'm trying to get it better, just like they are every day. You know what I'm saying? Just I may have had a starting point that was a little bit sooner to when I was exposed to the game, but at the end of the day, like if I use that knowledge that I have to kind of help my teammates get better at the end of the day. So that was kind of like what I was kind of approaching it like, just trying to, like I said, get better every day.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, let me ask you, what was the players' attitude towards the game like? As far as, do they have aspirations of playing CFL, NFL, coming to America, playing indoor arena, XFL, USFL? Do they have those kind of dreams? Or, you hear a lot of times, I hear a lot of people, coaches, players, people that have been there say, obviously it's more of a hobby to them. They don't get paid to
Right.
play like the imports do. They work jobs and then they play football on the side of their job. Did you find any of your teammates that really had a real desire to chase football dreams like what you're chasing? Or what was the reception to the game like, I guess, in your eyes with them?
Yeah, so I mean, we had there was actually some players though. There was a few of them that were young enough to kind of, they're trying to get into like camps out here. I guess they have a program like that they bring um, like kind of 18, 19-year olds to the Americas and kind of send them to the college camps that's on the campuses. So I did have a
Mhm.
few teammates that are going to be a part of those things that are trying to play college ball out here. And then outside of that, the guys that are like kind of too old that would, not have eligibility in college. Um, I've had a few like they talk about the ELF because I guess the ELF is like to them at least Europe's version of the NFL.
Yeah.
Just because like the money behind it, the social media stuff, and like the game day experience, they do a really good job of kind of simulating that of the NFL a little bit. Like obviously, it's not you're not having 60 to 80,000 people in the stands, but they had a couple 35,000 like fan games. So like,
Yeah.
um, And then the format of the game is very, very similar to that of the NFL with a little bit of XFL kind of sprinkles in there. But it was really cool, like just to hear them talk about it, because not everybody obviously is like really trying to get to that next level. Some of them they know that they're too old to play in that league, or to because of the competitive nature there is, and trying to get younger guys that are going to be ready to play and that actually really care about playing. So. But there was definitely a handful of them that they had the ability to do it, and they are looking to do it if they can.
Yeah, I'm always interested to know that. Again, it's always made pretty clear that the players locally don't get paid, and they work jobs and they have families, and I'm
Mhm.
always interested to know, because I've got a GFL1 team right now, and I won't mention their name, but I've had several conversations with a coach, and they want to create a pipeline with hidden gems to where we send them prospects for import needs, and they're looking to send me um, 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old kids that want to play college ball in America, in hopes that a lot of my connections can help them achieve college scholarship opportunities. And so I'm always interested to know kind of what, the thought process is, or what the view of the game is from the local players. Do
Right.
they see it as hey, this is a dream that I'd love to go play and be professional and get paid? Or do they just look at it as, it's a great sport, we love to play it, but, you know, we've got jobs and lives, and this is just
Yeah.
kind of a hobby kind of deal.
Yeah.
Um, and don't want to spin the axle too much or get wrapped around the axle too much, but the ELF, especially because you're a little younger, back in the late 1980s, 1990s, when I was a kid, there was a thing called NFL Europe, and you can go Google it, read on it through
My high school
Wikipedia.
coach played in it.
Yeah, and so there's a history of that. So it was funded and put on by the NFL. The NFL sent a bunch of general managers overseas and said, "Hey, we want to establish our international footprint." But the idea was to be a development league for guys that had been released from teams, or maybe had suffered injuries and needed a chance to prove that they could get back in that door very quickly of the NFL. So
Right.
the idea was to create this league over there, send these players over there, have them coached by NFL coaches, American coaches, developed, whether it was fundamentally technique wise, just need more game film, need to get healthy through a major injury. But whenever they were deemed ready for the NFL, the idea was to ship them back to America and sign them to an NFL contract. So the NFL sent these GMs over there, and just no resources, nothing, no plan, no resources. Hey, go over there, in these cities, in these countries, and we want you to set up shop. And when you figure some things out, let us know. We'll start marketing and promoting. So they literally had to go over and find stadiums, practice fields, players, equipment, office spaces. I mean, they had to start from scratch, not just
Right.
building a team, but building a league with multiple teams. And so the idea was to, like I said, send the American coaches and players over, but then supplement the rosters with local players, which would help the NFL develop an international footprint, a fan following, and hopefully could further open up markets for the NFL. And so the league was successful for a handful of years. I don't remember exactly, maybe 5, 6 years, something like that. But anyway, it didn't get quite the fan following and the reception that the NFL had hoped it would get.
Mhm.
And so basically, the NFL commissioner just kind of grew tired of the whole project. And one day they just pulled the plug,
Yeah.
and they packed up shop and left. I mean, there was no forewarning. Um, some of the countries and fans that were really into it were kind of shocked, because they just literally packed up and vanished. I mean, there was no farewell tour or anything. It was just, hey, we're gone. And
Right.
so a lot of the ELF teams, if you go back on Wikipedia and read about the NFL Europe, you will find a lot of the team names are
Similar.
former teams of the old
Yeah.
NFL Europe days.
Yeah.
In fact, the Rain Fire, that just won the ELF championship is an original NFL Europe team.
Yeah, I was there. One of my homies played for him this past year.
Yep,
And,
the Barcelona Dragons.
yeah,
The Frankfurt Galaxy is not the original Frankfurt Galaxy from the NFL Europe. The original Frankfurt Galaxy you played against in the GFL 1 with the Frankfurt Universe.
yeah, yeah,
That is the original Frankfurt Galaxy of the old NFL Europe. When that went away, they went to GFL 1, and that's where they've been.
right.
There was, when the ELF came around 2 years ago, there was disagreements within the organization to stay GFL or go ELF. And so some of the coaches and office members defected and went and built their own team, another spinoff basically of the Frankfurt Galaxy. So again,
Okay.
you can read on that on Wikipedia, but you will find a lot of the GFL and ELF teams are original NFL Europe teams.
Yeah,
The ELF came around because there were some people that were still lingering around Europe from the old NFL Europe days, and they were looking to reestablish an NFL like version of professional football over there. And so that's why in the logo you see red, white, and blue, because obviously American football, and they're trying to, in some way or shape or form, rebuild the old NFL Europe. And so, very quick synopsis, you can read about that through Wikipedia when you got time, and you'll, like I said, you'll look at the team names and be like, man, that's an NFL Europe team. Like, there are a handful of teams in that league now that are original NFL Europe teams. And so,
right.
but yeah, that's the whole premise of it, is to build a more elite professional level. They self-proclaimed themselves as the tier 1 of Europe. I would debate that because they've only been around 3 seasons. They've got some instability financially. They've had some instability with teams and dissension in the ranks, and the league office not doing what they promised to do in certain situations. The GFL is the most senior league over there. It's the longest standing, most respected, most competitive league in Europe. And just about anybody will tell you that. So it still gets the most credibility with the NFL. Yes, the ELF has had some players sign NFL contracts in the last year or so through ELF play. So just a real quick history of that. But, like I said, I was interested to know kind of what the player view was from the local players, as far as, do they look at it as dreams and goals like we do? We take that very seriously over here, chasing those dreams and goals and reaching the NFL and all that.
Right.
So with that being said, what is your take on football there in Europe? What's your take on the level of competition, just the overall experience? I mean, is it something that you would recommend to other players to go overseas to help build their resumes, or to get film that they need to chase their dreams? What's your thought
No,
process?
I think, yeah, no, I definitely would, especially, guys that's looking for an opportunity to play. If you get that opportunity, I definitely would recommend it for the football side of it, for sure, because I think, the way it's structured, you might get like it's matchup kind of based, because, as a team winning the championship, you're only going to be as good as your domestic players are. But, me as a receiver, I found some games where, if there was a German corner over me, there would be the safety over the top. You know what I mean? Or if there was a German corner, there would be a kind of a man-on-man kind of situation. And then a lot of the times it makes it a little hard because of the fact that you're only allowed to have 2 Americans on the field at a time.
Sure.
But what teams do, especially the teams with a lot more, financial stability, they'll go get a bunch of imports from different places. You could get a guy from Canada, from the UK, and those guys, like, they're pretty good. Like, those would be like kind of like the next best players, like your import guys. But like I said, you will have some domestic players that are actually pretty good. They're pretty solid. They just need some additional coaching. Like you said, the time it takes to be, good in the sport. I mean, it'll take guys a little bit longer to get onto the swing of things and build the confidence to be able to go and do it in the game. But I would say that the talent is definitely there in that regard. And if anybody is looking to play over there, I definitely think it'll be a feasible option because you'll get to put some film together, and then also you're living in a country where you're going to see a different kind of side of life opposed to America, even if it's for a year. Kind of a little bit of an eye-opening experience just to see the rest of the world a little bit, and that's just an aspect outside of football, but. No, definitely. I think it'll be a good opportunity for anybody who decides to make that transition.
Talk about that a little bit. You and I talked offline. Obviously, I through my military service spent time in the Mediterranean Sea, the European theater. You've gotten a chance to go over there and spend time in Germany now. Talk about the experience from a worldly perspective, a maturation process of as far as a human being and as a man, getting to see another part of the world, another culture, other languages, other foods, a different way of life. What has that done for you as far as your worldly perspective and as far as your continued maturation as a man and a human being? Talk about that as far as like, I get players all the time ask me, well, what's it like going overseas? Can you talk a little bit about and share your insight on that side of it, not just the football piece of it?
Yeah. So I mean, I've seen two instances, two sides of it a little bit because from my perspective, I was a person that I was always like curious about, kind of seeing what Europe had to offer in different countries, what they were like. But I've also seen the flip side of where guys they don't really want to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like being away from home is just a little bit too much. But it depends on kind of how you feel about it. But if you like kind of go there like kind of with an open kind of mindset to it, because it's going to be different from America, but at the same time, there's definitely things that are different that I definitely enjoyed. It's a lot quieter out there. Just it's more peaceful. And one thing that was kind of we talked a little bit about it earlier was um, kind of how the work-life balance thing, a lot of businesses they close before 8 during the week, and then on Sundays they're not even open. There's nothing open. You might have a 24-hour gas station and that's it, but everything in the town, and that's across the entire country, at least in Germany, is closed. So that was like kind of a different spin off, but I understood it. It was little things like that we don't do here in America because it's always go go go,
Yeah.
that it's a little bit different, and it's kind of like a because it brings you back to dare I say, humanity a little bit, just like kind of caring about the next person, caring about, just, the next person's livelihood, you know what I'm saying? Just how
Mhm.
they're, living their life, what is their connection with their kids. Um, just, small stuff like that. It's like, it was cool to be able to see kind of like the culture differences and how people kind of interacted with each other, how people interacted with, where they lived. It was dope to be able to see that and talk to even my teammates, because I had a couple teammates. I was from different places, some from the UK, from Ireland, from Germany, from Italy. Like I met a few people from different places, and it was cool to kind of pick their brains and even how they saw America compared to how I see Europe or where they're specifically from. So it was dope. I enjoyed that probably the most, just being in a different culture and kind of submersing myself in that.
Yeah, you talked about businesses closing before 8 and Sundays being closed, period. Man, if that happened here in America,
Oh, you lose
this
it.
country would come to a screeching halt. Like
You lose it. Yeah,
people would lose their freaking minds and like they think the world was coming to an end at that point. I mean,
for sure.
but like you said, it really makes you stop and take a kind of a checklist of your own life and about how important your mental health is, your emotional health is, having downtime and being able to decompress from work and from being a professional athlete, training, conditioning, nutrition, all the things you do in your lifestyle. It really makes you stop and think about all that. And do you really have a good balance of spending time with family and time to yourself, just relaxing. And, it really makes you take a hard look at that. We don't think about that because, our economy is such here that everybody has to work two or three jobs or have
Yeah.
multiple people living in the home working jobs in order to have enough money to pay the basic bills and have food at the end of the day for the week to eat and put gas in the vehicle, much less do anything outside of that. So to go somewhere where their economy is not necessarily like that, and maybe their politicians work a little harder for their people to where they can have a better balance of life. I think that is an eye-opening experience, truthfully.
Yeah.
What was the reception like? Not reception, I should say. What was the perception like from your teammates when you said you talked to them about how they perceive America versus how you perceive Europe? What is their thought process about us? Like, do they
Yeah.
look at us
So
like crazy or retarded or like,
I would say so. The way that they kind of see us is through like our like celebrities, the movie stars, the music, our sports scene. That's kind of like what they see because that's what's on media all the time. So um, it they see it as kind of hectic because of that. They're seeing like the fast life items more so than just the regular everyday things. And then they hear the news about sometimes the violence and stuff that goes around. Um, like that's unfortunate, but that's the kind of the stuff that they kind of hear a little bit. And they're big on the music, so you'll find a lot of guys or people out there that they'll they'll know the words in English, like a song or the movie lines or something like that, but they don't know English, if that makes sense. Like
yeah,
they'll know English through the music that they listen to, or that the music that's just kind of popular at the time. And so that was kind of like from how they spoke to me about it. That's kind of the lens that they see America through, which makes sense because like how do you get the ins and outs in the day to day unless you've actually been a part of it. And some people have actually been able to kind of visit, but like they'll go to like the big cities, New York, California, Dallas. They'll go to like the bigger city spots or Florida. Everybody loves Miami.
it's kind of like they see us in a like a glamorized version because of Hollywood.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
don't see the everyday grind, meat and potatoes version of the majority of the country. They see that glamorized, like you said, on
yeah,
TV,
for sure.
our celebrities, our music stars, music awards, TV award shows, that they think everybody in America lives that way.
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. Like they know that part of it is unrealistic, but they don't see the like I said, the day to day kind of activities of a
Yeah.
regular citizen because the only thing you're going to really be able to see is like the sports, and the movies and the music. Like that's I guess like what we kind of put out the most outside of like some of the unfortunate events that's happened over the past few years, but yeah, like that's the basis of like their knowledge about America, unless like they have family or they've been here for long periods of time.
Yeah. Music is a universal language. I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah, for
it's
sure.
been said years past. It is the way that connects everybody in the world. Music does connect us to places all over the world. I mean, and it's funny you say that. They know the words to the lyrics,
Yeah, and they don't know
but
it.
they
Yeah.
don't speak the English language. But yet they can listen to, for example, Tupac or Biggie or something like that,
Mhm.
and they understand the song and the meaning behind it, and that's how they relate to other people is through music.
Right.
And so I think that's pretty cool. Europe is full of history, a lot of historical stuff. Obviously, nobody here in America can't is from
Yeah. Right.
historically we're not from America. We are, but we're not. Our ancestors came from Europe and Africa and different places like that. So those places are full of historical stuff that can teach you about your family tree, your family history.
Mhm.
Um, I think it's really cool in Europe because growing up, you watch these movies like Robin Hood and different things. And you see these old castles and medieval times and different things like that. But when you go to Europe, that stuff is still standing. That those places are real. Like you can go and physically see some of that stuff and see the history behind those countries and learn about your own family history. And so I think that's pretty cool in a lot of ways. What was your most memorable moment, or what was your most memorable takeaway from the German experience?
So something that like kind of I initially saw right away was, they in Europe, I would say, because it was even in some of the other in Spain, they had this as well. But um, there's like these places in Europe where there's no cars that are there. It's just like kind of walk areas, and like they don't really have too many of them in like our American cities. Like
Yeah,
a car can't go there. It's just a cobblestone kind of path, and it's all the shops and restaurants and some department stores and things like that. And every city I've been to has like kind of like a variation of that. And it's not like a downtown feeling. It's more of like almost like a village-ish feeling. So it's
yeah,
kind of like a market area where you can walk, and they have the vendors that'll kind of shut up shop out there. And like sometimes like the cities themselves will kind of be built like that all around the cobblestone path, and then those would be the place for the cars. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, no, that part it was cool because like they have bakeries there, and like bakeries aren't a big thing, I would say, in America, at least not
yeah,
in today's time. And the
yeah,
bakers would be fresh, so like you go there and they make it fresh in the morning, and by the time like the afternoon, whatever's left is left because they're not making new batches. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
it's not going to make it to the next morning because that'll be a whole fresh batch. So all that was cool to me. Like and then also the way that they eat, like their food. Um, is a lot different than how we eat. It's like their portion sizes are a little bit smaller, but it's like things that like they're simple, but they taste amazing. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like
yeah,
their diet is different than ours, and like it's really cool because like I like food, I love me some food, and just to see how they cooked and like still made it like even though it was like a simple dish, it was something that was like it was really good. So I was happy about that.
they can turn the simplest of dishes into a 5-star
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
delicatessen type meal.
Yeah, stuff that we had here, like over there is like a 12, like not even $15 kind of meal. But like here, it'd be something that's like you're going and getting dressed up to go eat it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It was just like, yeah, it was just wild.
I would imagine it's probably, I would say it's probably a huge change of pace, like a real peaceful
Hmm.
change of pace to be over there. I'm sure life is a lot slower
For
than
sure.
it is in a lot of places here in America. And I would bet a lot of people would be enticed about living there just because of getting away from some of the craziness that's here. And
Yeah.
it's funny too. I talked to somebody not long ago about this. If you think about the history of America and the fact that, you know, 1776, we ran from, we left Europe seeking independence from England and all that. We come over here, and in a lot of ways we've screwed this country up. And now there's a lot of Americans that want to go back over there and live because it's more peaceful and it's not so chaotic and crazy over there. But we left
Yeah.
there hundreds of years ago saying, look, we don't want to be here no more. We're going over here and we're going to get independence. We're going to live our way. And yet we've kind of screwed things up and made this place not so great. Now, like, there's a percentage of Americans like, man, I want to go over there and live. Like, I'm looking for a new place to live. Like, this is crazy. So it's weird, I guess, when you think about the historical context of the country, and the fact that a lot of people are pushing, wanting to go back over there
Yeah.
because they realized life was not that bad over there. But you know, our country is so young, and the um, our forefathers and founding fathers obviously set a precedence here, but over the years, you get people that are born and raised, and really some of them are quite inexperienced in the way of how a country should run and people be taken care of. And so now we've kind of messed things up in a lot of ways. And now a lot of people want to jump back over there because it's peaceful and quiet and
Yeah,
calmer and more common sense approach to things, I guess. So,
yeah.
um, let's kind of rewind here real quick as we get deeper into the interview. You know, talk about your professional experience, but let's start back at the beginning. Where did this all begin? Where'd you play high school ball? Take us through the timeline, like the colleges you went to, why you chose
Mhm.
those schools, how you ended up there, and then bring us back to the present day.
Okay. So I played high school. So my first 2 years of high school, I played. It's a called Pius X High School. It was in Pennsylvania. My high school coach was Phil Stambaugh. He actually played in NFL Europe. I can't remember what team he played for, but he did play in NFL Europe. And then I transferred to Bethlehem Catholic High School, which is in Pennsylvania too. That's where I played my senior year of football. Um, but just coming out of high school, I wasn't crazy recruited, like crazy, like highly recruited, but I did go to camp with some like Nike camps and things like that. Played in front of some people, um, and then I got to Akron. Like I said, wasn't really highly recruited, but the defensive coordinator at the time, Chuck Amato, he was he was a head coach at North Carolina State a few like we're talking some years back. But no, Coach Amato, he was kind of the guy that brought me in to college, gave me a chance to kind of play a little bit, and then I actually initially went to Akron to play DB safety, and crazy story. So one day going out of practice, we had a GA. I'm not going to say his name because he has a coaching job now. He's a coach at a school. I'm not going to put his name in there, but um, he told me one day he was just like, "You're going to help the DBs," and he said one-on-ones like during one-on-ones, but he really meant scout team. He was telling me to go down on scout team because like how the young guys go to scout team.
Yep.
But like he said, you're gonna help him out and during one on ones. And so I guess like during while the receivers and DBs were doing one on ones, the kind of the younger guys were going down to like the other end to read the cards and get ready for the scout team period. But he told me to go to one on ones, and so when we lined up to do one on ones with the receivers and DBs, I just got in line with the receivers, and I was just playing, and like I kind of caught a couple passes on some of our like top guys, and at the end of it, the safety coach at the time, he got upset at me. He was like, "If you want to play receiver, like then don't come back to my meeting." Like he got upset. And I'm just like, I'm just doing what I was told to do. You know what I'm saying? And then a couple weeks later, I ended up. They told us like, "Yeah, we're gonna switch you to receiver." And then I was
Wow.
playing receiver the whole time from that point on. So that was my redshirt freshman year. So like that year I was redshirted. So I was just just practicing and doing those types of things, just servicing the defense and stuff like that. And then my redshirt freshman year, I got an opportunity to kind of walk into the season as a starter a little bit, but then I think it was like a week or 2 weeks before the season started. We were getting ready to play Penn State when they were coming off of the Rose Bowl loss to USC when Saquon
Wow.
was had that year. I want to say that was Juju Smith's last year at USC when they won the Rose Bowl that year. But we're getting ready to play Penn State, and um, I broke a toe. I broke my big toe, and
Wow.
so yeah, so we're going in to play Penn State. I broke my big toe. And I was upset because like I got back, but then kind of competitiveness. We had guys on our team that were good, so um, didn't get the opportunity to start week one, and then that kind of trickled down because like I said, guys were doing their thing, and I was on special teams, service as a special teams guy that year. Um, Kind of gave me an introduction to football a little bit though, because we played Iowa State, and Iowa State had two kind of D line guys on their kickoff unit. They were right next to each other, and they were running down on kickoff, just smoking anybody that ran through that, like anybody. I'll never forget that because that was wild. Um, yeah, then that's how that year kind of went on special teams. We ended up going to a bowl game, played against Lane Kiffin and Florida Atlantic in Florida Atlantic, which was
Yeah.
a little bit
Boca Raton.
yeah, a little cheating because how we play a team in a bowl game in their home stadium, you know what I'm saying? So their fans packed it out. We ended up losing that game big, but the next year got an opportunity to start play. Ended up being I was a team captain that year, but unfortunately we went on 12. So I remember, us not really winning too many games that year, more so than anything, just because just being a competitor, you just hate to lose. So that year was kind of rough. Um, but yeah, I was a captain of that team, captain of the team after that during the COVID year. Um, we went 1-6 that year. Those are two tough years. I'll never forget those two tough years. And it kind of helped me grow a little bit because of the fact that, like, that term, like being the captain when everything's all rosy and good, or being the leader,
Mhm.
it's easy when everything's rosy and good.
Yeah.
But,
It's easy to
going
be a
through that,
leader when that's happening.
yeah, going through that year and, not winning games, coming into those locker rooms after losing games, and trying to, come back to practice that next Monday with the optimism, like let's go win this one kind of thing. And that was the hardest part, especially when, you know, your name, like obviously being on the team, your name is stamped on it, but then being named the captain is like, it comes with like a little bit of extra responsibility. Like your
Yeah.
name is like really on that. You know what I'm saying? Like this is quote unquote your team. This is like you're directly responsible for it. And so,
You go
um,
to the head of the line in the firing squad. You're the
right,
person.
exactly. And so that kind of hit a little bit. There was definitely a couple of nights where you go home after a game, you get off the plane or come after a long drive at home, and you're dealing with it on a Sunday, watching the film over before you even get to the Monday meetings, and just looking at the things you could have did better, looking at the things that as a team we could have done better, the
Yeah.
opportunities missed, and all those things. So those 2 years really eye opening, and just being able to kind of approach the process more so than just looking at the results of things. And so yeah, that kind of was a growth period for me, I would say, because it was a tough one. And then after the COVID year, I transferred to Montana State as a grad transfer, and that was another trying time for me. Not because of Montana State. I'll say one thing about Montana State. I think that was probably one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, to be able to go there, because just not even just as an athlete, but just kind of where I was in my life at the time. Leaving um, leaving Akron, I was kind of used to kind of like a city kind of environment a little bit. But Montana, I would say, of all places that I've been to in America, it was kind of closely resembled the experience that I had in Europe. The very peaceful, very like, and then the people loved football out there, and that was huge to me. Just being at those uh, at those games, and like the stadium was packed every game. Like those fans were nuts. Just like that was definitely one of the best times that year that I spent there. One of the best times. Unfortunately, I didn't get to play every game because I broke my foot in camp, and that hurt. That one hurt because getting ready to play a full season, happy to be in a new environment. I felt like I really was able to gel with my teammates because I got there in spring ball. I didn't really want to wait to get there in the summer. I got there in spring ball, was able to do spring ball with the team, do our summer workouts with the team. Um, Really tried to integrate myself, and that was at a time when I was a very introverted type of person, um, just trying to get out of a shell, meet new people and things like that. And you know had a lot of great teammates, had a lot of great guys on my team, guys that are playing on Sundays right now. That team was definitely a special team, just in terms of the people that I got to meet, and also the athletes and the competitors that was on that team. um, Broke my foot that in camp. I want to say the Thursday before we got into our game prep the following week.
Damn.
Missed about 8 games, and I'll say like in terms of like personal like self growth as a just again falling in love back with the process of coming back. That was a long couple of months, going from August all the way. I think my first game was in November. We played Eastern Michigan. That was my first game. I came back, and that was like 3 or 4 games before the end of the year. And then we ended up, getting an opportunity to go all the way up until the national championship against North Dakota State, which we unfortunately lost that game. But we played like that was that year in terms of just falling in love with football again because going from a program where we were struggling to find wins and things like that, it was tough. Like winning was expected at Montana State, and
Yeah,
which I love. You know what I'm saying? Like you were expected to win, you were expected to perform on the
absolutely.
field, and so like that was like just like that culture shift was
Mhm.
huge. And then one of the biggest things that I kind of seen, and it was firsthand from day one, was just like how the players kind of, you know, held each other accountable. Like just even no coaches had to be there. Like we had some summer workouts where it was player run practices, and if they wasn't up to the standard, where they needed to be, like guys was like holding each other accountable, and that was big because you could tell like people cared about football. People wanted to get better. People like it was a thing. So it was right up my alley because I like I said, I love football myself, and then just wanting to win games. Like everybody else was on the same page of that. Wanted to go compete for a national championship, and so like I was definitely grateful to be there, and I enjoyed my time there. And then out of that, that was kind of like how college went for me a little bit, but post college got started to train for the pro days and things like that. I had an All Star game invite, but I didn't do it because of the fact that I was still coming back from that foot injury. In hindsight, I probably should have just went and you know what I'm saying, and kind of
Yeah.
competed and did what I wanted to. Because I felt like even not being 100%, I probably still would have been able to perform at a high level. Kind of put some stuff on film in front of other guys. I was, kind of quote unquote top prospects going into that draft class, but didn't get picked up right away, and so fall in line with just trying to work, and then got the call from a IFL team to kind of go to camp with them in March of 20. I want to say that was 23. Yeah, March of 23. Got a chance to go to camp with the Iowa Barnstormers. Made the team. Played the first couple of games, and then kind of found my way into Germany after that. And then just like I said, put one foot in front of the other and just try to get better every day.
Yeah. So I want to touch on a couple things there. You talked about Akron. You talked about some losing seasons, being the captain, and really starting to understand and feel the weight of that responsibility as a leader, as somebody that's in the direct line of fire of responsibility for why things turned out the way they did. To go to Montana State, like you said, we're a culture of they expect to win. That's the way they do business. There is no, well, we hope to win or we're working to have a winning program. No, they expect to win.
Mhm.
And still experiencing some up and down times win loss wise, and then also dealing with your injury situations. What did you learn about yourself as far as handling adversity, um, and not just handling adversity in general, but what did you learn about yourself as far as maybe different techniques or approaches that you were able to utilize to deal with those periods of time or those moments and get through those and come out better on the other side?
I would say so. Especially with the foot injury on Montana State, I didn't even like I credit my teammates for it because a lot of like my teammates, coaches, everybody that was around me, they kind of the first few days was the toughest because you just told like you're gonna miss months of the season in your last
Yeah.
year in college. Like that was tough to kind of wrap my head around just because of you just wanted to play. But I didn't even really get to like sit down in it because, like I said, like the culture of that team, it was like it wasn't about me. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously, like I was dealing with that, but like we still had an opportunity, like I said, to go play for a national championship and to go win a conference championship at that time. So it was more so kind of like being there. How do I be of service even if I'm not on the field? like not playing. You know what I'm saying? So at practice, I mean, it was freezing, especially down the stretch of the season because we didn't have a dome. But just catching passes with for the quarterbacks, or catching the rebounds from like catching drills with the receivers, um, learning the signals, so that I could help call the signals during game day, and being on point with that. Like just trying to find a way to help the team, just because like I said, it wasn't about me, and we had a bigger goal that was, like I said, to go win a national championship. So even if I'm not going to be catching
Yeah,
passes, I'm gonna find a way to do something so I could like earn my stripes with the team, because I was brand new to that team. And it didn't matter, like how there's that FBS, FCS thing. It didn't that None of that mattered. You know what I'm saying? It was let's try to win, and like how am I gonna help, and how am I gonna add to the team. And being hurt, I didn't want it to just be like, oh, like, he came, he didn't pan out because, he was hurt, so he just never got a chance. Like, I wanted to make an impact somewhere, even if it wasn't going to be on the field for the immediate moment. So, like I said, yeah, just trying to find a way, stay productive, and being able to be useful for my teammates. And we had some younger guys on that team, so it definitely helped me to, kind of be able to pour a little bit of whatever I've learned throughout the time I've been in college into them, and to trying to keep them focused on, just understanding the fact that college don't last forever. You know what I'm saying? That it flew by for me, and I wanted them to learn that too. If they learned anything from me, is the fact that, maximize the time that you get, take every opportunity, and run with it, because they're few and far between, for one, and they don't they don't come around like too often, just because college, those 4 years, 5 years fly by so fast.
they do. What they say, time flies when you're having fun, and
Yeah.
my grandfather always used to say, especially at Christmas and Thanksgiving at the table with the family, the older you get, the more time flies. And a lot of us didn't really believe that was true, and we used to kind of mess with my grandfather, picking him like, "Nah, that's not true." And I'm gonna be honest, at 44, going on 45, I still think sometimes I'm fresh out of high school, or like I just joined the Corps, or I don't feel 44, 45. I still feel like I'm a young adult, late teenager kind of deal, and have to remind myself sometimes, you're in your 40s now, you're a father, and so it really does fly. The other thing I wanted to talk about or touch on real quick was the fact you talked about the culture there. Places like Montana and Wyoming, that's what their communities identify with. It's like Texas with high school football. They
Yeah.
that's their one big identification piece for their cities and their state is their football program. And it's weird because I think about the 30 for 30, the U, about the University of Miami. When Howard Snellenberger went down there and put that team together, it was all local guys from the Miami area, from the inner city portions of Miami and some of the rougher neighborhoods. And a lot of those players were, you know, recruiting each other like, hey, let's go to Miami. We'll all be at Miami. We're all local. We're gonna put together the best team in the world. We're gonna go out and, stomp every team, to death, and beat the crap out of them, and we're going to put Miami on the map. And so they had that culture. They expect to win. And even now, to the modern day, if you ever watch a Miami game and they zoom in on the sideline, you see Michael Irvin, you see Warren Sapp, you see Willis McGahee, Frank Gore, you see all these legends of the past. They're on the sideline during the game, and they're not scared to go over to the young kids and say, look, we have a tradition here. This is not the standard. You're not playing up to our standard. You need to get your head screwed on straight, and you need to figure this thing out. Like, they're not scared to go and not just impart wisdom, but remind these kids they have a responsibility to uphold a certain standard and a legacy. I'm
Mhm.
assuming that you're saying Montana State's kind of that same culture, that they expect to win. And I'm sure there's alumni that have no problem reminding the newer generations, you have a responsibility to uphold a certain standard here. Am I kind of correct in saying that? Is it kind of a good correlation, I guess?
Yeah, no, not for sure. It was something that was like you can tell it meant a lot to a lot of people.
Hmm.
Like the boosters, the people that supported the program, they were very involved, very invested into it, and you felt the love from day one. Just like when I got there, at least, just how people treated me, how people kind of took me in and looked out for me, being that my family was a couple of 100 miles away, a couple of 1,000 miles away. um, they kind of treated me like family from day one. But then, when it got to getting ready to go play football games, it was like, look, like we got what we got, and we trying to keep it. You know what I'm saying? We're chasing greatness here, so
Hmm.
um, be ready to put on your helmet and go strap it up and go, because it was a thing too. They don't really play no finesse football out there either. It's a team where they're going to be physical. We're trying to be physical. Receivers going to block. We're going to get a push off the line of scrimmage. Like, we're going to hit you in the mouth, and you're going to have to be ready for it for the duration of a football game. And it
Yeah.
was it was definitely cool to see, because like, as a receiver, obviously, like, you go into an offense like that, and you have your second guess. Oh, am I going to get the ball? But I mean, it wasn't, like I said, once you got there, it wasn't even like that, because especially with our offensive coordinator at the time, Coach Housewright, he's still there now. He did a really good job, because we had a lot of weapons on that team with our running backs. We have a bunch of running backs that can go start on different programs and play. We have receivers who transferred in, and some who transferred out, that went to different programs, and there's number one or two guys on their teams. So I think he did a really good job, like, kind of incorporating everybody, and kind of using everybody's kind of different play styles and maximizing them, because, like I said, we had a lot of weapons, and we found a way to put the ball in the end zone a lot of times. And so it was really nice to kind of see that, even though I wasn't directly a part of it in the beginning.
Yeah.
But no, it was dope. I enjoyed kind of practice, because it was it was eventful, trying to see kind of the new plays that we had. We had a really good defense too, so our good on good periods were very fun, especially during the spring, when we were allowed to tackle each other and do things like that. During summer camp, uh, we had a lot of kind of, it was direct correlation, kind of conditioning drills that we would play, like red zone, 2 minute stuff like that. Whoever win, the loser got to go do some form of conditioning or something like that. So it was always competitive at practice, especially in those off season times. But no, from the fans and the expectation around the team, not even it didn't even have to come from fans or boosters. Like, the team expected to win, and it was just, you couldn't ask for anything else, because of the fact that you want to be a part of a winning program. You want to be a part of a program that's like used to winning, and they have a blueprint to winning. So it was cool to see. And then when Coach Vegan got there, that was his first year. When I was there, he just jumped right in. He did a great job of just kind of seeing that was a standard there, and he was just like, yeah, we're gonna win, and we're gonna win right now, and we're gonna put the pieces together, and we're gonna find a way to get it done. And for in large part, we really did, and I was definitely grateful to be a part of that, the year that I was, because the accountability factor was definitely the biggest part, and I definitely enjoyed being a part of it.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I sat, as I told you, I was looking through some of the games on YouTube trying to find some of your clips to rework your film, and I sat and actually watched one of the games. And I mean, you guys obviously playing some snow out there, some colder weather.
Yeah.
What was that like coming from New York, where maybe you got to put the long johns on a few more extra times during the year, and make your hands work in that frigid temperature to catch balls? What was that like for you?
I mean, you find a way to get it done. Like, so we didn't have an indoor. They don't have an indoor now, and so we practiced in it. You know what I'm saying? So that was a competitive advantage. So, like I said, they expect to win. So come December and come playoff time, we want to have home games there, because teams aren't used to playing up there.
Yeah.
And so it was you definitely could tell when teams, how they were uncomfortable when they came up there, especially in those winter times. Like, they were definitely uncomfortable coming up there. But practicing it, you get used to it during practice. I mean, we're putting hoodies on, we're finding a way to, kind of, get ready for practice. But during the game, I'm not gonna lie, like you get so ready for the game and that adrenaline start pumping, especially start doing warm-ups, you start running around. Like you don't
Yeah.
even really, in a way, you don't even really feel the cold, especially when you really start running around and kind of getting amped up and ready to play a game. Like you don't even really feel it. But when it get windy, I retract everything I said once the wind start blowing. But during like
Did
just
you,
the winter days, it was. I mean, you get ready for a game, and it's like it didn't even matter. Kind of, it was just like let's go.
did you guys ever pull the intimidation tactic? Like you said, talking about teams being uncomfortable. Did you guys
The
ever pull
sleeves.
the go out there at warm ups with no shirts on and like bare
I
skin
had
running around catching balls, talking about, oh yeah, we're good. Like we do this every day. Like, did you
one
guys
thing.
ever
I
do
mean,
that to kind of get in people's heads or?
I will say some of my teammates, like being some of them. I had a teammate from Alaska, uh, Derek Snell, tight end, is a talent. I'll say that, but. A lot of the Montana guys and some of the Alaskan guys, they wouldn't wear sleeves because they weren't cold. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But I had a couple of games where I wasn't really that cold, so I didn't really uh, throw nothing on. But if I was cold, I was putting something on. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna try to intimidate. I'm gonna play football and I'm gonna be
yeah.
comfortable while I'm playing
You're gonna
football.
be
I'm not gonna,
smart first, not
yeah,
brave.
like I'm not gonna be cold and just to show you that I'm not cold, and then it affect my game. Like, nah, I'm gonna put some sleeves on, and then I'm gonna beat you. Just I'm
Yeah,
gonna win in the
I'm
rep.
gonna
You know
be
what I'm saying?
smart first. We'll talk
Yeah,
about being brave
yeah,
later.
yeah.
That's crazy. So now that we've gotten up to speed on where where you've come from and how you've gotten to where you're at now, what are you doing for an off-season conditioning program? Now, obviously, I know you've only been home about a week or so. You spent some time with the family. What
Mhm.
is your plan? I guess let me ask it that way. What is your plan for an off-season program that will prepare you to chase the next goal or the next piece of the journey? What's your plan going to be? Is that a 4-day, 5-day plan, 7-day plan? Kind of, I know you've not gotten into it, and I know you've probably not put a lot of thought into it, but kind of humor me a little bit and kind of spitball here. Kind of give me an
Yeah.
idea of what you think you're going to do.
Well, first thing I do want to do is I want to get with a kind of a specialist to kind of see, where my deficiencies are and like my movements and stuff like that. Like if I got joint deficiencies, things like that. And then I'll kind of be the first thing I kind of tackle is just trying to get those deficiencies or work them out and find a way to incorporate those into a training program. And then from there, kind of work as that be the baseline and then kind of get myself moving the way I want to move and things like that. Because um, I haven't played for, obviously I haven't been playing for, like 15 plus years, things like that. But just from college, from things like that, having a few bit of injuries, um, want to make sure that, coming off of last season, that I'm all good moving forward. That, nothing that's happened to me in the past is going to come back again. I think me being available obviously is the best availability, as people would say, but having those deficiencies knocked out and then getting strong from the standpoint of just being able to move how I want to move, being able to have the right power output and doing those things like that, have no imbalances, things like that. It's probably going to be a 4-day thing, but with the fifth day, probably a Wednesday. That's how I've done it in the past, where you got your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is your kind of a recovery, active recovery day. Thursday, Friday is your kind of going back into it days, and then Saturday, Sunday. I like to get on the field Saturday and Sunday on the weekends, do some miscellaneous things, and continue to run routes that like that. So that's kind of like how I'm looking at it right now. Like I
Mhm.
said, the first step being kind of knock the deficiencies out, get those looked at, and have somebody kind of give me like a blueprint. So okay, this is your body. This is what the kind of things that you're going to need to do on a daily basis, or for the next few weeks or months, however long it's going to take to be able to, you know, be working at full capacity instead of, something being a little bit off here or there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I knew you hadn't been home long and probably had a lot of time to think about that. But want to kind of touch on it, obviously, because that's the next phase for you is off-season
Mhm.
conditioning and preparing for the next step. Um, another thing, I guess, I'm just curious about it, and I know a lot of teams would be interested to know. Obviously, you've not been home long. We talked about that, but having been a college athlete and now a professional athlete overseas, talk about some of the community service efforts that you've been a part of, and talk about any efforts that you've been told about, you've heard about, you've read about, you've seen on TV that you said, when I become a big professional athlete, I want to I want to leave my mark on that. Obviously, every college and professional team does community service, and
Mhm.
every coach and GM and player personnel director an athletic director, they all have their own philosophies, their own ideas of community service, whether that's Habitat for Humanity, soup kitchens, feeding the homeless, um, reading to elementary students, running camps for for youth athletes. Everybody's got their own ideas. Just talk about real quickly a couple of those things that you've been a part of, and like I said, talk about anything that you've identified through whatever means that you just, like I said, you've identified something that's, I kind of want to leave my mark on that when I get to being a professional athlete, when I get to a point where I'm ready to jump into that.
Yeah, so actually, one thing that I had when I was over in Germany, I jumped on. I had a lady approach me about she sponsors a community out in Africa where the kids, some of the kids, and some of the in the city don't really have books and school supplies, and the school is doesn't have the funding to kind of have like the correct textbooks and things like that. She kind of gave me an opportunity to kind of be a part of that a little bit, and so I kind of took that. Me and her had a conversation when I first met her for like an hour and a half. It felt like, um, but it was a good conversation. She kind of taught me a lot about it, what she was doing, and she at the end of the conversation gave me an opportunity to be a part of that. And so, um, yeah, that was something that one of the things that just it kind of brought itself to me. I would say.
Hmm. That's pretty interesting. Um, it's interesting that you mentioned that the idea or thought came from your time being in Germany. Um, Athletes are role models, and talking about community service, kind of piggybacking off that real quick.
Mhm.
Athletes are role models. You guys are an inspiration to younger athletes, to the youth in general, young adults, um, and things of that nature. How important is it to you, the image that you portray to those who look up to you? Having been overseas, having played major college football in America, how important is that to you? The How you portray yourself to those kids and the people that look up to you and find you as an inspiration or a source of motivation.
Yeah, I would say it's something that is really important to me, and that kind of started when I was even young, before any of that kind of came, was when my parents, like, because I was the oldest, so just having my family be the ones to kind of look up to me, my little sisters and my little brother. My parents was always did a good job of kind of telling me, like, they're looking up to you, so you want to make the right decisions. You want to kind of you know you don't want to be messing around, because, like I said, they're going to follow right behind you. They just look up to you whether you realize it or not. And so that was kind of always the path I kind of tried to take, because I always, like, I mean, I'm very close with my brothers and sisters. My family is a close knit family as it is, and so that kind of grew. And then as I got into high school and around my town, I would have like little kids run up to me and want to take pictures and things like that. And you know, that kind of was the first, I guess, introduction to it. And then getting to college, you just meet people in different places, and you'll get messages about little kids, like sending me videos about playing NCAA, and I'm on, I'm scoring a touchdown. They show me like a replay or something like that. So like you never really know like who's really paying attention to you. Um, at Akron, like yes, it is divisional school, but it's not in the conversation with like the Alabamas of the world and the LSU's of the world. So you kind of get lost in that a little bit, but then you always have like someone that just randomly DMs you or sends you a message or runs up to you and wants to take a picture, and like they kind of know like exactly who you are a little bit, and it always catches me by surprise, because like I said, I'm just playing football, but always trying to be someone that kind of is like straight up and just honest, like trying to do right by other people, I would say, because
Yeah.
just I genuinely like to think that I like care about people and as a whole, humanity as a whole. So if I was could lend a hand and help somebody out, or kind of be a light for somebody else at any point in time, or with anything, then I feel like if the opportunity is there, I definitely want to take advantage of it.
Yeah. It's I tell you, I've been really impressed with you in this interview and your responses and your thought processes on things. Um, Before we kind of get to the end of this and wrap it up, I wouldn't be doing you justice or service here without asking. Can you speak briefly about the different offensive systems, obviously, and even defenses that you've been a part of? Now that you've alluded to the fact that you played some safety and things like that, um, can you talk about the schemes that you've been a part of? What you're most comfortable in? Maybe kind of briefly touch on what your responsibilities are in those schemes, and then can you identify a scheme that maybe when it was introduced to you gave you some trouble, as far as maybe you had to spend a little bit more time in the film room or in the playbook, or get with the QB and offensive coordinator and really go through things to really get a better grasp of the concept?
All right, yeah. So I'll say first person to really introduce me to kind of, just a playbook, in an in-depth version of the playbook, was my high school coach, Phil Stanbaugh. I kind of learned, like, got my football IQ from him a little bit because, like I said, he played in NFL Europe. He went to Lehigh University, and then he had a couple of stints in the NFL a little bit. But he was the one that kind of introduced me to concept football, kind of just like, because that was my first. I switched from running back to receiver when I was young, my freshman year in high school, and he kind of that's how he taught us the offense, was just, okay, here's the concepts, like a rub concept, the smash concepts, and the drags, the floods, and all those different types of stuff. And obviously, it was more at a little bit of a elementary vanilla level because we were in high school a little bit. But then as you got to college, we ran every year that I was there. Well, I would say the first couple of years before we got a new coaching change, it was more of a just spread out offense, kind of no huddle style. We just call the play, look over to the sideline, and kind of the quarterback would be the one to just give you the signals instead of you getting like the full signal from the play caller on the sideline. So it was not fast paced. I would say it was just no huddle. I wouldn't say it was like an Oregon kind of like running down, kind of before 20 seconds run a play. But just the concept part of it, like it made it easy for me to kind of learn offense, because then you just have to memorize like the name of that coach's specific play for that concept, but like just none of the concepts themselves, as the root of my kind of like foundational learning. It made it so easy just moving from offense to offense, from coach to coach, and having to kind of pick it up on the fly, regardless of where I was. And I was kind of trying to pride myself on learning multiple positions, and that's why I think the concepts was like learning the concepts initially was the kind of the best thing, because if you know the concept, you can be on the inside, you can be number one, two, or three, and you'll be able to pick up on what the coach is looking for, the way he's looking for, understanding the kind of the progression of the quarterback and how he's going like that. So that's kind of like how I was taught with the game. And then I actually, when I got to Montana State, it's kind of when, I really started taking a deeper look into even like how the offensive line kind of protected it. Because, like I said, at Montana State, we had to, the receivers were a big part of the run game. Like we had to go get linebackers, we had to go get safeties. We had a rule actually at Montana State is if the play was if you were backside of the play, you were always to get that safety that was on your side. But if it was a single high situation, you could get the corner. But if it was a two safety look, you would always get your near safety, because then if there was, we had a lot of zone concepts, and so there was sometimes a lot of cutback lanes. And so if the running back would cut back, that safety would be the one that would most likely make the tackle instead of that corner. So we would always go and get that safety. But like being able to kind of, like I said, dive deeper into like kind of film because of the fact that I wasn't playing, and being able to see it kind of from the outside, because then I even got a chance to sit on the headset for a couple of games while I wasn't playing during the game. And so I was on the headset with the coaches and kind of listening to their thought process while they were making calls, going into the next play or into the next quarter, and after halftime, kind of the adjustments that they were making on the fly. Kind of being able to sit down and listen to that kind of gave me a deeper look into not just being a player, because as a receiver, you see your side of the ball, the safety, linebacker, corner in front of you, but then being able to kind of sit back and from practice be able to kind of hear what the coaches are talking about, then seeing it on game day in a live action situation. I think that part of being hurt was kind of like a little blessing in disguise, because it gave me a little bit more knowledge than I probably would have gotten, just being on the field and seeing it kind of at a microscopic level, just kind of seeing, my assignment. But then, like I said, learning the concepts and being able to be versatile, going from inside to number two to the number one, or to be even the single side kind of receiver. It definitely was a little bit of an eye opener, because like you don't we're in Akron when I was doing that. Obviously, not being hurt, not being able like to sit on the headset with the coaches, you don't get that kind of perspective. But the film room, you take more time in the film room for whatever reason when you're not playing, because you want to be that much more prepared, I guess.
Yeah.
But
it makes you feel like you're involved, because
right, because you're longing to be involved. You just want to be involved so bad. So you're just like looking at everything. You're just sitting there. You're watching every player. You're watching, the offensive line. And that was big on knowing the offensive line, because, like I said, I was like, for a portion of the season, I want to say it was like a 2 or 3 game stretch. Like they put the red penny on me, and I'm sitting there signaling the plays to the guys on the field. So like for me just being curious, just asking like, okay, seeing like, okay, what I was signaling to the kind of skill position guys, and what the offensive line guy was signaling to them, and how those concepts kind of married each other a little bit, seeing like how that was going to work, and then seeing it on film after practice, you know what I'm saying, or after a game, and watching that. Okay, this was the call here. This is what the offensive line had. This is what the receivers had. This is what the quarterback was looking at. And seeing how all of that kind of came together. That was the first time I was really able to do that and sit down and listen to the quarterbacks, because I was with them at the beginning of practice a little sometimes, just like I said, catching the balls, and while the offensive coordinator was kind of talking to them, going through kind of, pre-practice what their day is going to look like in terms of the looks they're going to see, and in terms of the checks that he wanted to throw in there for the week. Like those things, gave me a little bit more insight to, whereas me I would have been in individual and then going to routes on air, and you don't really hear that type of stuff, that kind of conversation. So it was cool to kind of get behind the curtain a little bit and see those things.
Yeah, I mean, you got involved in the strategical part of football, and seeing the coaching side of the world. Being a player, you're only on one side of the line, and you see what you see as a player. But when you get on the other side, like you said, behind the curtain, and you hear the conversations and you see the coaching go into play, and you start to see, okay, that's why they pulled that particular chain at that time. Okay, that's why they pulled that chain at that time. When you see it all come together, like you said, the signals, see what happens on the field and why this was done and why that was done, how the two come together. I'm sure it's pretty eye-opening at one point. I would probably have to guess that you have one of those, like,
I had a couple of them.
Why they do that? Like
a couple of them, a couple.
And then two, to be the player on the field getting the signals, you're probably out there going, why in the hell are they doing that? Like, what? Why are they, 4 guys making hand signals? Like, what is the point of this? And then you're the one doing it, and you're probably on the sideline during the game going, okay, this is why they're doing all this
Mhm.
nonsense. Like, now it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's pretty eye opening to start to see the other side of the world, the coaching side, and
Yeah.
sometimes that sparks that fire in players to become coaches later on because they get that bug, they get that. I'm curious. I want to know, like, why,
Yeah.
why are you calling it this? Why are you signaling that? Why are you saying this at that time? And like, what did you see that made you want to do that play call? Like,
Right.
I'm sure you get that curiosity at some point and start to see that other side of the world.
Right. Yeah, because even like immediately when I was able to get back onto the field and start practicing and playing with the team, like the stuff that I was looking at while I was sitting there on the side, like I was able to see them a little bit more clearly and faster now because of the fact that, like when they have a call or when they made a call and, you see and you can kind of guess where the ball's gonna go a little bit because okay, I see why they're calling that. I see the down the distance. I see where we are on the field. Like it all just starts to like kind of click a little bit because like okay, I know I guess like where the coach and what he's thinking right now, especially being able to hear him in real time during a football game, so
Yep.
I can understand why he personally made that call and just the logic behind it. And then now I'm able to see, all right, this is where he wants the ball to go, and this is where he thinks the ball or where the opening is going to be, and so that was cool. And then I even like took that from there. I even tried to because I'll say this, Coach Elias at with the Comets, he did a real good job of kind of incorporating us in kind of like the play calling um, going into the week. So I say like not just on the field, like kind of the plays, but asking us our thoughts and kind of being very inclusive in like going into the game plan, like what do we like going into the week, and so I definitely took a couple of things out of Coach Housewright's playbook from Montana State and tried to sprinkle them in with Coach Elias. Just hey, let's try this, or what about this? Let's look at this because like I liked a lot of what Coach Housewright did, especially like him being able to use and show different formations because that was one thing he showed a lot of different formations and trying to be able to do that with Coach Elias it was cool just to kind of you were playing a little bit chess because like I said he gave us as an American they give you more credit probably than you deserve honestly when in autonomy in the offense and it's like, hey, what do you think about this? And he's really serious. Like, what you tell him, we really like go ahead and throw it into the install that week and run it in the game that week. So, like, being able to kind of be a part of that and then throw it in there and him have us like really trust us to be able to do that. It was really cool to like be a part of like kind of the offensive meeting and the game plan meeting to the point where what you say is actually going to be on the call sheet in that game day.
Could you see yourself being a coach one day?
Oh yeah, I would love to. I actually would love to be a coach. Like I know that it's going to take some time. Like I don't know if the thing is, I say I don't want to be a coordinator, but I know I like down the line I probably would love to be a coordinator. But I would love to work with the positions first. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Obviously, like that's kind of how it goes anyway. But
Yeah.
um, a receiver coach or a DB coach, I would love to do it just because I know for a fact I would bring energy every day to that situation. Like whoever I got with me as a receiving core, because I know like if I'm a recruiter, I'm gonna find some guys. Like I'm gonna find some guys that can play ball. So get guys that can play ball, and then kind of like I said down the line, be able to teach them some stuff that I've learned and I want to see like what kind of product I would put on the field as a receiver coach, or and ultimately as a coordinator. I would definitely want. But I know they have gray hairs though. An offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator position, you have gray hair. That's a
Oh
lot.
yeah.
I can't imagine it.
Because think about
'Cause
it,
I'm
they
only
get
seeing the good
players
side.
like yourself and other players that just drive them crazy for 4 years and asking that question and this question and not
Yeah,
doing this and doing that and
yeah.
just different things. 5 minutes late,
Oh
whatever,
yeah,
playing pranks on
yeah.
coaches. And like by the time that 4 years is over, like, good God, I'm glad that guy's gone. Like
Yeah,
he drove me
yeah.
crazy. So I'm gonna throw a curveball here at the end. All right. I can see talking about coaching and the strategy of the game and your experiences while you were injured versus being on the field. I can see you starting to light up. I can see you starting to open up and smile more and really being talkative. So I'm gonna throw a curveball since you said you could see yourself being a coach and you want to be a recruiter and find some guys that can ball. I want to hear your scouting evaluation on yourself. Give me a real recruiting scouting evaluation. Break it down.
All right. Um, I would say just off of height and weight, I got good size. And for my size, I feel like I can run the routes on the intermediate level as well, and not just be a deep threat. Um, I think that that's something that's very positive because you go against, especially in the slot and on the inside, you're going against safeties, bigger guys, the linebackers, and a guy not being able to, or not being afraid to take those hits in the middle of the field. I think that's something that I could bring to the table. Um, I don't have because it's crazy. So when I was in college, people said I was slow, but watching the film, we had track guys on our team, so it was relative to them. But I have good foot quickness. I have great feet quickness, and so that goes into being able to get in and out of those intermediate cuts and them short routes. Down the field ball, I'm a person that's going to go get the ball. It's mine, and one thing I would say, um, one thing that I would like to get better at and continue to get better at is being able to be physical down the field in terms of pushing the limit. When I say pushing the limit in terms of just being physical in the kind of hand fighting factor of it. Because I've had a couple of times in my career where I've gotten offensive pass interference. So there was a period where I kind of shied away from it a little bit. But being able to be savvy in that regard and being able to continuously hand fight down the field, even though as a receiver you don't want to really be hand fighting, but being able to be physical down the field and then also always want to get better at be a better blocker. That's something that I really want to continue to improve in my game because if you're like in my experience and being on different teams, like even when I was in Akron, we had a spread offense.
Oh no. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've unfortunately we've just sustained a little bit of technical difficulty here. We have literally lost Nate at the end of this interview. Hopefully, we'll get him back here real quick and we can wrap this thing up. As we're getting at the end of this here, I know this interview is taking a little bit more time. This conversation's been really fun. It's flowed really well. This has been the most impressive interview I can say that I've done thus far with an athlete. Nate, just the intellect and his ability to articulate his thoughts and ideas. It's just been amazing. At 6'2", 200 pounds, he is a good size receiver. When we look at, when we look at his career stats over the course of his time at Akron. We look at 36 games played over the course of his years there, 79 catches for over 1,000 yards, 1,071 to be exact, 5 touchdowns. Hang on one second. As long as he's trying to get back into the interview now. Let's see. There you are. There you go. You're back in now.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what
No, no
happened.
worries. Go ahead, finish your statement.
Where was
You
I?
you were talking about your scouting evaluation. You were breaking it down for me.
Oh yeah. So what did I say? I said good frame, quick feet in the middle of the field, being able to make the tough catches and also getting out of those breaks. I would say, like I said, being more physical down the field in terms of um, that last level of separation right before the ball gets there, and then like I said, being a better blocker. I think that something that I definitely, like I said, that goes it back into the physicality aspect of it. Just getting back to being a better blocker and a great blocker. And then um, I think something that I bring to the table is, you know, QB friendly. I'll always find the quarterback. I'll know kind of because of knowing kind of like what the game plan is. That's something that I kind of try to pride myself on is knowing kind of progressions and downs and distance and being conscientious of that at all times. So with that, in the course of a play, being able to find a zone, find where the quarterback's progression is, where I am at in the progression, and then getting to that spot where he needs me to be at. And in a scramble situation, I'm gonna always find the ball. So I think those are some of the things that kind of are positives on my side. Um, and then yeah, that's where I would.
Not a bad breakdown at all. I give that a solid A. I give that a solid A on the evaluation piece. Um, you know, you have pretty good numbers at Akron. I was mentioning that while I was waiting on you to come back in to the viewers. 36 games played, 79 catches for 1,071 yards. Touchdown numbers a little low, 5 TDs. Um, you averaged about 13.6 yards a catch, 29.8 yards a game average. So I mean, those weren't bad numbers there. And you have to think about the fact that you also went through some injuries there, and then you went through some injuries at Montana State. Um, you pick up another 7 games over at Montana State, 12 catches, 200 yards, 2 TDs. So again, solid career stat line. Not bad at all. Um, I wanna see here. I'm trying to do something. See if we can. We'll see if we can do this. If we can bring this in. There we go. Here we go.
End
I'm
zone.
gonna turn the volume off. But here we go. Right here. Talk to me about this catch right here.
Okay, so that was one of the plays that was like a go-to play for us in like the red zone. The thing I liked about that offense too, because that was the second coaching staff we had. They were really big on everybody knowing what they need to know, like everybody knowing the concept of the play. So being able to play 1, 2, and 3, and so me, I was usually the X receiver, but there it was like we knew it was man, and so just kind of got into a one-on-one situation, and it was like kind of like a chair concept, two ends on by 1 and 2, 2 5-yard ends, and then the corner, and so that's kind of how that was, and so I just had leverage on the safety just by alignment, and then I was able to make the catch.
I mean, look at this right here, the athleticism right here. You're able to adjust your body to the ball, back shoulder throw. You turned your body almost 180 to get back around and catch that ball. Here you're fighting to get in the end zone. You know, these are just a few clips from your highlights from Akron, but um, yeah, I just wanted to kind of put this up on the screen a little bit and kind of show some of your work from your college days. I mean, that's against Syracuse right there, big time Division I program, making some big catches here. I think you're a guy that's got some big playability when a big play is needed. I think you're a guy that can be depended on to deliver that home run ball. Um, I think you're a sharp route runner. I think you run good, crisp routes. I think you've got great hands. Um,
This year wasn't the best route runner. I'm not gonna lie
You
to
know,
you.
I think you're athletic. Um, Obviously, like we just talked about, your ability to adjust your body in midair to the ball and make difficult catches. So I mean, again, here look at the hands there. You know, reaching back and grabbing that ball in the air. Um, I think you're a very solid receiver. So you know, anybody that's watching this interview or sees this at a later time, I hope that you see some of the things we're seeing, and maybe it leads to some curiosity and um, you know um, opportunities for Nate moving forward. So I just want to show a little bit of that. You know, talk about your production on the field a little bit. Real quick as we get to the end here. We've kind of talked about it, so it's kind of a mute point, but I'm going to ask anyway. The last game is played. Hang your cleats up for the last time. That clock hits 0, 0, 0, 0. Whether your body says your career is over or you make the decision it's over, where does Nate go next? What's your goals? What's your plans after football? Obviously, we talked about potentially pursuing coaching. Talk to me about what have you thought about over the years that your future plans are?
Honestly, so I've always been a person that's like I've always liked like film, photography kind of stuff. Um, I've done a couple of things like behind the camera a little bit. So I'm not an expert by no means, but you know I know my way around the camera, around a production studio. So I if I had in a perfect world, I would love to kind of work behind the camera in a movie thing,
Okay.
or even in front of a camera. I've done that. I've done that a couple times. Um, some modeling stuff here and there, but that was just a little stints and contract work. But it's that, and then I also like I've always been in love with houses too. So um, learning the real estate market is something that I've always been curious about learning and getting savvy with that because, um, and not even just I guess the real estate itself, but the design of homes is something that I've always kind of took a liking to. So those are a couple of avenues that I've kind of explored in a little bit. I'm even doing it right now. Is trying to I've been in the process of trying to get my real estate license here soon. So
Wow.
hopefully that'll be
Okay.
something that I can, get done and accomplish in the next year or so, and start, really, start making some headway on that. So
Okay.
yeah, I've been trying to do that, and it's crazy you asked me that because even what really even got me started into any of those things was when COVID happened and football was taken away. Honestly, um, just having to kind of sit there and kind of worry, like think about like, okay, if there's no football, like what are you doing
Yeah.
in 24 hours? You know what I'm saying? You can't just sit there all day. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it was that was the time when I was just like, it was kind of it felt you felt stuck because there was no football. You only can, train so many hours in a day. I was literally waking up in the
Yeah.
morning and going to train and then going to play basketball after that. And then after that, like you only could do so many activities in a
Okay.
day. And then, you got the rest of the day and you're just sitting there not doing that. So um, definitely started to kind of explore, my mind and try to explore my interests a little bit to see what is, something that I can enjoy and see myself doing in the long term after football is over. So, yeah, I'm still exploring that, but I don't want to put myself into one box um, and just kind of cut myself off from, other possibilities. So, I'm just taking, like I said, one foot in front of the other, seeing where it takes me.
Nate, I want to tell you, and I said this when you disappeared for a brief second. This has been the most impressive interview that I think I've done since I started this whole process in the scouting service. The way you've been able to articulate your thoughts and your ideas, the answers to the questions, I've been thoroughly impressed with you as an individual. So I just want to say it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure to have this time to interview you. I want you to know we're at a minute or we're at an hour and 50 minutes right now. So
Wow.
you're the
Okay.
longest
Yeah.
running interview. This
Wow.
this interview has just flowed. We've had a good time. We've talked about a lot of different things. I think it's given a lot of insight as to who you are and how you think, how you work, and I think it's given people a good view of the person that you are off the field. So I've really had fun with this. I hope that you have. I hope that it's been meaningful for you. I appreciate you taking all this time today to do this. I'm sure you've got other things you want to do and have had hoped to do today, but I appreciate all the time you've given me. Um, Man, like I said, just overall impressive. Really good interview. So thank you again. Real quick, let everybody know what social media platforms you're on, how they can get in touch with you through social media. Um,
Oh, I actually don't. I don't even know my name. My Instagram name. Hold on. I'm sorry. It's
no, you good.
my
That's a
Instagram
coaching
name.
lesson, though. You got to be prepared. You got to have your game
Yeah.
plan down. Got to have your notes.
So Instagram is Stew dot II, which is a Roman numeral for two. And then my name is down there, Nate Stewart. And then I'm not really on Twitter, but I do have one. Um, Nate Stew, so NATESTEW 2.
Okay. All right. In addition to that, you can find Nate's profile on our website. That information is scrolling at the bottom of your screen. You should be able to see that. You go to HG Sports with an S, scouting.com. Go to professional prospects. You can click on his name or his picture. You'll see his profile. This interview will go on there shortly. Um, if anybody out there, depending on the specific levels that Nate is interested in, has opportunities they want to discuss with him, please feel free to DM me, call me, email me, text me, and we'll be happy to make that connection with you and Nate. I definitely think that there's some XFL, USFL, CFL type opportunities in the future, ELF as well, if that's something you're interested in. But definitely see a lot of potential, great size, great ability, got a well put together resume, and we're going to get busy right away and start making some things happen. So I appreciate the people that did view. I saw people jumping in and viewing. I appreciate that as always. And we're going to go ahead and sign on off here and let Nate get to the rest of his day. And we'll look forward to seeing everybody back here again on another interview when we bring another client in front of you. And Nate, again, thank you so much for your time. I'm very grateful and appreciative for everything, your trust in me and Hidden Gems, the time you've given me today. I really, truly appreciate that. So hope you have a good rest of your day. Enjoy your time with the family. I know you're probably still kind of chilling and spending time with family and just relaxing, but enjoy that for certain. And then I will check in with you over the next day or two, and we'll touch basis about um, your training program and kind of opportunities you're seeking out and things that that we're going to start to work on. So, um, but with that, I'll say thank you so much, and I hope everybody has a good rest of the week and a good weekend coming forward. And we'll look forward to seeing you again on another Hidden Gem Sports Scouting interview.